Wake up! This is the last hour and the last famine before the great tribulation strikes. What hope do we have? Very soon, we are entering a great tribulation that this human society have never experienced in the past, and it will experience again, biblically speaking. All governments on the earth will come together as one in order to deal with this dire situation, which is prophesied in the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 5 and 6. The black horse and its rider are having their last campaign, which will lead this present-day society to Armageddon. The scales on the hand of the rider of the black horse symbolize ration, especially when it comes to food. This condition will be overwhelming and fearful, including powerful countries like US and Great Britain as well. Prices will reach climatic rise. The wages will stay much less for meeting up the people's requests. Consequently, goods will not be sold that much, and the commerce will have them stocked for lack of buyers. Let us understand these things better prophetically and factually instead. It would be advisable to read the whole chapter 6 of Revelation in order for us to be on the same page of what is explained here. Save the olive oil and the wine. What does this prophetic expression really mean? Let us understand the words of the third living creature expressed to Revelation chapter 6, verse 5 and 6. Let us have some facts in order to relate this matter with these two verses. It took only a few educated wicked people to be demonically driven to spark the First World War. The Bible says one sinner can destroy much good. It also took only one angel who transformed himself to Satan the devil to introduce sin, old age, and death on the earth. He manipulated Eve, and Eve in turn took advantage of infatuated Adam after her femininity to listen to her emotionally, and consequently he messed up the life of the subsequent human society initiated by both of them, which contributed to too much mental and emotional pain, sickness, old age, and death. It took only one person to cause the Second World War. We know who he is, Hitler. It takes only one powerful individual in authority who may well be inspired demonically to mess up things and cause unnecessary hardships for the rest of the entire human society. That is why the third living creature prophesied about the event of worldwide famine as something very important for us to know, or to know it in detail. This way we are not ignorant so as to be tossed to and fro from overwhelming news that lead us nowhere, at which stage we are actually standing up to this point. Again, back to Revelation chapter 6, verse 5. At first, the resurrected Jesus Christ opened the third seal and asked the Apostle John in this vision of what John is observing. John says, "And when he opens the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, 'Come.' And I saw, and look, a black horse, and the one seated upon it had a pair of scales in his hand." Shortly, what does this vision mean so far? Stark famine. With other words, complete and severe famine. This prophetic scene, with its dire message, starts with the Lord's Day from 1914 CE, or with the beginning of the First World War or the Great War, a worldwide situation which prophetically will extend its grip until Armageddon. Even though such a lengthy period, which so far has extended or it has been experienced much famine and poverty in worldwide scale, at this last time there will not be partiality or exceptions. From now on, all countries will be affected, and not just a few. Yes, this time the false prophet, or the beast that speaks like a dragon at Revelation chapter 13, which symbolize Anglo-American world power, will be affected in a large scale as well. Modern warfare brings famine in its wake, like that with Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Palestine, and so many other ones that are not considered with much significance so far. Because of fear of war, many resources are normally used or diverted to supply war weapons instead of feeding the hungry. Farm workers are conscripted, and battle-scarred fields and scorched earth policies curtail or reduce the food production. This is what's happened during the First World War, when millions died from hunger. Moreover, the rider of the black horse of hunger did not relent with the end of that war. During 1930s, 5 million perished in just one famine in Ukraine alone. The Second World War brought in its wake more food shortages and famines. As the black horse continues to its gallop, considering the year 1987 alone, 512 million humans were starving and 40,000 children died of hunger-related causes every single day. Today, in 2025, this number is tripled, as causes of hunger are also based on climate change with its natural floods and various conflicts around the world. Because of climate change, inflation, and if we consider some unnecessarily imposed tariffs from one country to another, such like combinations will trigger global food prices rise rapidly. The Apostle John continues in Revelation chapter 6, verse 6 by saying, "And I heard a voice as if in the midst of the four living creatures say, a quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the olive oil and the wine." We might get confused with this ancient statement, so let us compare it as a measurement. For instance, in John's time, at the end of the 1st century CE, when Rome was a world power, a quart of wheat was reckoned to be the daily ration for a soldier. How much would such a ration cost? 1 denarius was a whole day of work. Yes, the wage of the whole day of work for such a portion. Imagine you to work all day for just 1 ration of wheat. This food was extremely expensive for us to grasp, especially when living in US or Canada. Now, what if a man had a family to feed? Well, he could buy 3 quarts unpolished barley instead. Even this amount would feed only a small family. At that time, barley was not viewed as quality food such as wheat. Now, what is implied by the statement, "Do not harm the olive oil and the wine"? Some have viewed it as meaning that while many would be short of food and even starving, the luxuries of the rich would not be harmed. But in the Middle East, oil and wine are not really luxuries. In Bible times, oil, bread, and wine were viewed as staples or necessities. Water was not always good, so wine was widely used for drinking and something or sometimes for medical purposes. With regard to oil, in Elijah's day, the widow of Zarephath, poor as she was, still had some oil left which to cook or with which to cook her remaining flour. Therefore, the command, do not harm the olive oil and the wine, appears to be advice not to use up these basic commodities too quickly, but to be sparing in their use. Otherwise, they will be harmed. That is, they will run out before the time ends. What hope do we have as these expected hardships in front of us will soon escalate to the point of economical tragedies, in a sense, when governments will call for peace and security based on economical terms more than anything else, which will lead situations, yes, which will lead this rotten present human society of things straight toward the Great Tribulation and eventually Armageddon. How happy we can be that the rider of the white horse, Jesus Christ or Michael, will soon reign in that galloping black horse. For it is written concerning his loving provision for the new world to initiate right after Armageddon by the promise. In his days the righteous one will sprout, and the abundance of peace until the moon is no more. There will come to be plenty of grain on the earth. On top of the mountains there will be an overflow. Definitely. We, as the great crowd, will survive Armageddon and will enjoy life to the full until the sun and the moon is no more, symbolically speaking, because sun and moon will be there forever and ever, are set there to be from everlasting to everlasting. Fortunately, both the sun and the moon, as I said, will be in their perfect place forever and ever. So, we will be on this earth forever and ever, where death will no longer be in front of us as an expected destination. We will enjoy life without fear of inflation, recession, or depression. The earth will produce food in abundance because Jehovah, the true God, will make the grain, the Bible says, and everything else to grow with less and less efforts on our part. Yes, the Bible promises that he will make the grain to grow on top of the mountains, based on the book of Psalms. What do we need to do now? First of all, we need to learn the meaning of John chapter 17, verse 3, which says, "This means everlasting life. They are coming to know you, the only true God, Jehovah, and the one whom you sent forth, your only begotten Son, Jesus Christ." Yes, the knowledge about the Father and his Son are crucial for our survival. Moreover, we must get the sense of Jesus' words at Matthew chapter 6, verse 33, which brings as priority for us the need to seek first the meaning of God's heavenly kingdom government. When we understand its structure in detail, we will be able to apply its requirements. This understanding and application will constitute us as the survivors of the Great Tribulation, explained to Revelation chapter 7, verse 14, which says, so right away, John asked the resurrected Jesus Christ or Michael, who presented this vision to him, "My Lord, You are the one who knows. And he said to me, these are the ones who come out of the great tribulation, and they have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Now, we are here to assist you to further this knowledge. However, especially at first, you will feel resistance of a different spirit which is in enmity with this powerful and life-saving knowledge and understanding. Subsequently, such responsibility lies on you strictly as a single individual for making such a move. The rest of your environment, starting with your closest family members, will not feel the same as you do. On the contrary, they might even disrespect your right to choose based on your moral sense and free will. Henceforth, try to overcome the power of the wicked one, Satan the devil, who will use anyone to cause you to stumble and discourage you even in the process of your progression. Spread this info the best you can. May Jehovah and His Christ bless you for such efforts.